everyone. Welcome to This Day. It is Saturday, October 29th. We are in the midst of our Halloween weekend. We got Halloween on Monday, so hopefully you're going to have a lot of fun this weekend. All right, let's go ahead and tell you who is on our show today. Well, we have Peggy Huang, who is a candidate for Orange County Judge. So she's going to tell us all about herself and why it's important that you choose a judge of her style. Then we have Captain PIO Steve Concialdi, who is our Orange County Fire Authority captain and PIO, and he's going to tell us all about some dangers that surround the holidays. Okay, let's take a look at our weather real quick for the rest of our weekend. Today, we are looking at pleasant temperatures, 77, 57. Then we have 78, 60 and 77, 63 for Monday. Our sunrise this morning was at 7:07. And our sunset will be at 6:01. And don't forget, next weekend, we're going to turn our clocks back. All right, stick around for Peggy Huang. You'll learn all about why she wants to be an Orange County judge. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, we have Peggy Huang here, who is a candidate for the Orange County Judge position. Well, welcome. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And you know, you've been extremely busy in our community. And but before we get to that, just tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am currently a Deputy Attorney General for the state of California. I'm in the Criminal Appeals Rights and Trial section, so I am your state criminal prosecutor. Separately, I'm a Yorba Linda City Council member. Have been there for 8 years, serving on a variety of regional boards like Transportation Corridor Agency, the Mosquito Vector Control Board, as well as the Southern California Association of Government.
And then you've been in the community of Yorba Linda for how long?
Over 20 years now I've been there, and I've been very active there in women's club, on the PTA, soccer mom, basketball mom, swimming, everything, just being very involved with our community.
You sound like a superwoman. You've got a lot going on, and you've got your family, of course, and tell me about your family.
Well, I'm married to a wonderful physician who is very dedicated to our community, serving as a hospitalist over at St. Jude Medical Center. I also have 2 girls. One is off to college now and have another one at home. So we're very proud of all their accomplishments.
Excellent, excellent. Now, you did mention that you are currently the state deputy attorney and all of these other things that you do. So what does all of this experience do for you as an Orange County judge?
Well, it really ties things together. I am a 25-year attorney with a very broad experience. I have been fighting for our victims of crimes, especially here, you know, that's very important for this community, is in the field of elder abuse. I have prosecuted abusers, including shutting down 2 residential care facilities for the elderly, where they were not taking care of our most vulnerable clients and committing insurance fraud. And that is something that I'm very passionate about and have done a great deal of work in elder abuse and in the criminal prosecution as well in general. And I've also practiced in all levels of the courts, in both state and federal courts. All this together, tying together, earned me the endorsement of the Orange County Deputy Sheriffs, the men and women, the boots on the ground that are serving our community.
So when you become a judge, how does that differ from what you're doing today?
Well, you know, as a judge, you are the final arbiter. You look at both sides, you bring things together and seeing and applying the law. You know, when you're a prosecutor, you're just one-sided, you're advocating for the victims, for the people.
Right.
But as a judge, you're going to be looking at the law and applying the law. And I think that's where my experience really comes in as an appellate attorney, where at the appellate level, we look at what happened in the trial court, the errors that were made. And so we look beyond just criminal law, we look at constitutional law, any regulations that might apply, and then we apply the law. And all my body of work is available online. I think that's one thing that's unique about me as an appellate attorney. You can actually go online, read my briefs. Do I have a good grasp of the reasoning of the law, application of the law, and of course the rulings are also public.
Right.
So you'll see that I won many of my cases, and just because of that type of experience as well, I earned the endorsement of the California state attorneys and administrative law judges and hearing officers. Very long name for a group, but. I have 25 years before all these colleagues, and they've seen my work.
And what are some of the things that are important to you? I mean, obviously you're serving on a council as well, which would encompass a community and finances and a variety of other things that you need to review often. And then here we have a community of Southern Orange County where I feel very happy to be here because we have so many great people that help run our community and do all these great things. What are some things that are really important to you as an Orange County judge?
Well, I'm very concerned about the current homelessness issue, and judges play a huge role in all of that. And, we have alternative courts, like mental health court, the drug court, as well as veterans courts. And I do have social services background in terms of working with in the community with people with disabilities and understanding what their needs are. And so when someone comes in, we can't just incarcerate them because they have other issues. We need to put them through those alternative courts, get them the real treatment they need, and help them become a part of our society and not be ostracized from our society.
Right. Well, that's good. And I know that there's a lot of resources out there right now. I know there's the Be Well OC, and they're looking at expanding that as well. And so those are hopefully some direction that we can help these folks. So great ideas. Any other things that I know you mentioned earlier, crime victims. There's a lot going on in our country where we aren't doing that very often. What are some things that you could see changed?
Well, there are so many different nonprofits to work with. I have been involved with a nonprofit that works with victims of human trafficking. And that is something that I've been involved in since 1993, being a boots on the ground. I volunteered in Taiwan, rescuing girls who were sold into prostitution.
Wow.
I've also worked on a criminal case. It was considered the biggest bust in the United States back in the 1990s, breaking up a ring that offered mail order brides. You just go through the catalog and pick the girls, and they'll be shipped to your home. And I'm very proud of all the work I have done to stop human trafficking. And I've been doing that for nearly 30 years because that's a huge problem. And bringing it together as a judge, understanding those resources for those victims when we have those cases. We deal with them on a criminal side, but also be able to direct the victims to where they need to go.
Yeah, that's a great resource for sure because, we are hearing more and more things. And of course, in our community here, we don't really hear a lot about that, but it's happening and it's right underneath our noses. So we appreciate all the work you've done for that. Any last few words you'd like to say to our viewers?
Well, I hope to earn your vote this November, on November 8th. Please remember to vote. Your vote does make a difference. I am a Deputy Attorney General with 25 years of experience, ranging from juvenile law, family law, administrative law, civil and criminal. A huge breadth of experience that I can bring to the courtroom. But most importantly, I am a fair, open-minded judge, and that's why I will be someone who seeks justice and seek the truth and will do the right thing. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Well, thank you. It was very nice to meet you, and good luck to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And if you want more information about Peggy Huang, you can go to peggyhuang.com, and don't forget to vote on November 8th. And when you vote, make sure you scroll down on the ballots because the Orange County judge is down there past all the others. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, today we have Steve Concialdi, who is a captain as well as PIO for the Orange County Fire Authority. Well, welcome. Very nice to see you. It's been a while.
Thanks, Lisa. It's great to be back here.
So now, you've been on our show many, many times, and I know it's been a while. And we've had some others here on behalf of the Orange County Fire Authority, of course, Brian Fennessy. Right. Tell me what you've been up to.
What I've been up to, my kids. So I had a son that graduated from college and got hired with us.
Oh, wow.
August 1st, so he started our fire academy. My daughter's in nursing school. She's a senior at Point Loma.
Wow.
And I've been on for over 30 years now. Love my job. I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm a captain paramedic at a fire station in South Orange County.
Okay.
And then I still do the PIO. I'm involved in all kinds of stuff. Our benevolent association, our EMS cadre, the Laguna Fire cadre, basically from that 1993, the major fire.
Right.
And so we've been doing staff rides over the last couple years, just
Okay.
teaching firefighters from all over, and our firefighters and captains and officers and chiefs about that significant fire back in '93.
Right, right. And of course, we don't just have fires out in fields. We have fires in our homes and fires in our buildings and things like that because of negligence, and also because they don't have the right kinds of machinery, if you will, like equipment, like a fire alarm or something like that. So today we're actually going to talk about holiday safety tips and who doesn't burn something around the holidays.
Exactly. So I'll give you Thanksgiving next month. So every year we have fires on Thanksgiving. That is of all the days in the year. So they say 250% greater on that single day.
That is crazy.
And so a lot of that is just a lot of kitchen fires, but it's unattended. So basically they have the turkey in there and they're running out to go to the store, or they get interrupted with family. They're in the backyard, they go in the front yard, they even play a little football game in the street or in the cul-de-sac, and they think everything's okay. But basically, as everything gets hot, those drippings come down, and then basically hits the elements below and can start a fire. So we always recommend putting a pan in there, put some foil over there, that way it catches it. But we always recommend stand by your pan. So if you're cooking something in the kitchen, and I could tell you hundreds and hundreds of stories that I've been on of calls where they're in there and they get distracted by the Amazon driver, UPS, FedEx driver, and they end up talking, or they run out, the dog needs to go to the bathroom, they run the dog out just to the cul-de-sac, and they forget what was on the stove.
Yikes.
And so it's just stand by your pan. If you have something cooking, just stand by there, or set a little timer.
Yeah.
So for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, if it's going to cook for a little bit, that way it'll remind you, or on your phone, set a little timer.
Right. Wow. Well, it's very funny that you sit here and you say, oh gosh, you're reminding me of all of the times that I've walked away from cooking something just even on the stovetop, not necessarily underneath. So it can happen either way.
Yes, we get distracted with our phones. Distraction's the main thing, because you don't think you're going to start the fire, basically. And I'm thinking of now, just even a neighbor of ours.
Yeah.
I was home, and they were cooking something, and they actually turned something on. Well, the cutting board just happened to be a little bit over one of the burners. It was actually those white plastic cutting boards.
Oh.
So I was at home. I was the PIO at the time. This is when I was a full-time PIO, and it was in the evening. And basically, all of a sudden, there's a structure fire on my street. And it's my close neighbor and close friend. And so I got in my car, drove up there, and basically there's a little kitchen fire right there. And it was as simple as they went to turn it on just to get the burner on, and the cutting board was too close, and then they walked away.
Wow.
And next thing they heard was a smoke alarm.
Right.
These things save lives, save property, because it allows those crucial seconds, because this will go off in a few seconds.
Yeah.
And it's so loud, it alerts the residents, the neighbors. So if you aren't home, so if you're down at the cul-de-sac with the dog and these smoke alarms go off, but they need to be working. That's why Kidda, they're a great partner with OCFA. They've donated so many of these smoke alarms. So that's why if any of your residents ever have a need for smoke alarms and they can't install their own, or they're having trouble with it, just call us. And we'll come help them out. We'll gladly do it. But again, these save lives.
So let's jump into your other safety tips, because I want to talk about the plug that you have right there. So beyond cooking, we have Christmas trees, and we have dry Christmas trees, and then we don't turn those off, we don't turn the lights off quick enough. But we also have these plugs where we jam everything into those other little small ones where it looks like a giant octopus. Not a good idea.
They need to have a circuit breaker. So there's a lot of multi-plug adapters, but if it doesn't have a circuit breaker, then you shouldn't use them, because they get overloaded. What will happen here is if there's an overload with the circuit, it'll just automatically shut off, and then power stops. But just think about growing up. We all had those small cords, those multi-plug adapters. They were called like zip cords. And we plugged two on the back side and one on the front side. Well, there's been so many fires over the years. They're not even allowed in any business at all. Completely been outlawed. Now, you can still use them in your home, but they've caused too many fires. So if you're going to use any multi-plug adapter, it has to have a circuit breaker, and you can buy those. So in that way, if you do leave your tree on for a while or something plugged in, if there is a short circuit, it'll trip it and it'll shut the power off.
Now, one thing I did want to ask you though is, what if you plug just a regular plug into the wall outlet that is a circuit breaker one? Does that count?
That works too. And you could get the ones that plug in. So basically you have your typical outlet. It'll plug into that, and then it's a circuit breaker. So you could add more. But that way it's designed to only allow so much. And if it's getting too hot, it's overloading, it'll just shut it off. Another thing is, and this is fires that I've been on here, and whatever, this cord, any cord cannot be pressed. It can't go through a doorway, because if a door is shutting it, or what happens is you're decorating for Christmas and you have all these cords, and then you start moving some furniture around because you put the tree in, or you have some decorations, and that furniture, if it's the desk or a chair, if it's sitting on the cord, what happens is it puts a lot of pressure on, and a current is running through these cords, and it gets super hot, and it builds up, then eventually it'll melt this, and if there's carpet there or anything combustible, it'll catch. So some of the big fires that we've been on is they had no idea, because for a long time that desk or something hard has been crushing it, or it's just going through the door.
Oh, really? So can it ignite the door?
Well, yeah, if basically it usually catches the carpet.
The carpet,
So it's pinched in there some way, and so it builds up so much heat at there, and if there's something combustible like carpet or something else.
So now let's look at those pictures, because I couldn't even tell what something was, because you're looking at it, it looks like the ceiling, but nonetheless, here's a photo that these are from fires that you've been on. So is this the smoke alarms up above?
Yes, so this was a recent fire, and the fire started in the garage, and we just had one a couple of nights ago too. Similar thing, and this was just put on our Instagram and our Twitter just a couple of days ago. It says smoke alarms awoke a sleeping resident to a fire in their garage in this home in Irvine. The resident went downstairs, basically saw smoke, and they were able to safely escape out the front door. And so same thing with this fire. So I was the PIO this night. The fire started in the garage. This is 3:20 in the morning or so, and they're sleeping. And so basically The smoke comes from the garage, it gets inside, and then it set off those smoke alarms. And there was
Yeah.
handful of residents, a dog,
Yeah.
and they were able to wake everybody up quickly because of the smoke alarms,
right.
and they were able to get out. So there was.
There's more.
Okay.
You said a lot.
So you could see how that stained. This is the kitchen. This is
So this is the
downstairs.
same house?
This is the same house.
Oh, boy.
So look how scary. It built up so much heat, and you could see how the smoke banks down. That's why
Yeah.
we always say low. If there's a fire, you crawl low to the ground and you find an exit. You should know 2 ways out of every room.
Okay.
That might be a door, that might be a window, but you stay low below, because as the smoke is banking down, you can see just above the microwave, in the middle of the microwave. And then down below, it's pretty clear, but what'll happen is smoke and heat rises, and then it starts banking down lower and lower and lower. But it burnt the fan blade.
Yeah, they're just melting. Oh, gosh.
Even though this fire was in the garage and stayed in the garage container, our firefighters did an excellent job of keeping it. But again, that heat, the smoke, and the smoke is toxic. It's hot. That's why we can't breathe it. Our lungs are not designed to breathe in those hot gases.
Right.
And we quickly become overcome and get smoke
Yeah.
inhalation.
Yeah.
And we have lasting consequences when that happens.
Exactly.
But again, these smoke alarms
Right.
saved lives.
Right.
Because in this home,
Yeah.
these went off, and nowadays is they're in series. So when one goes off, they all go off.
Okay.
And so it just alerted everybody.
Okay. Now, you have a couple of other pictures which are frightening in and of itself, because again, you've got interior that looks like it's just baked.
Right. So this is the laundry room.
This is the outside.
Yeah. So
Okay.
basically, the picture, basically to your right there, behind you, that was the garage. So the fire started in the garage. It basically banks up, it goes up, and some of the smoke gets into an upper window. Anytime you have windows open,
Yep.
inside, it gets in out of the picture. As I'm looking at the screen to my right there, that's the laundry room. And so even though that door is shut, smoke and heat is coming through there. And originally somebody opened that door and then they shut it. And so we always recommend, if there's a fire in any room, you shut the door behind you.
Ah, okay.
So that's basically, they heard the smoke alarm, somebody opened, and then realized for the fire, shut that. But there's just so much, again, hot heat, gases, smoke, and it does damage in there. But again, it gave time for those residents to get out
Exactly.
safely, either the back door, the front door.
Right.
And then our firefighters quickly, and then nowadays with cell phones or your neighbors, when they still go, it wakes up the neighbors too.
Right.
And we could tell you countless stories of the neighbor next door seeing something because they're out of town or they're basically calling just to help out.
Exactly, exactly. Well, there's a lot to cover, and of course, this is just really touching the surface of all the different things that are going on. But of course, if they ever wanted more information, they can always go to ocfa.org. All of this information that we've been sharing is there. And then one last thing we'll touch upon is last month was Fall Prevention Month, but every month is Fall Prevention Month, no matter what, because so many people lose their balance after a certain age, and you have to be careful. What are some things that would help?
Our most common calls are falls. And so it's basically keeping stairways, traffic ways clear of debris. So I've told my wife, because when I had small kids, don't ever put anything on the stairs, because middle of the night you go downstairs, or you're not thinking, or you're looking at something, or you're carrying laundry, it's easy to step on that. So always keep the stairs clear. And then now we have the holidays coming up, and then people are going to be going to families, and you have toys and everything, and kid stuff. We need to make sure the aisleways and hallways are clear, because it's so easy. And then what happens mostly is the rugs. They need to have that non-slippery surface underneath, that rubber, because you get in there and you step on it, it's easy to slip and fall. My mother-in-law, she was in socks, and so she got up to go to the bathroom, And this just, I did this talk last month at Mission Hospital, and she ended up slipping just in her socks on the tile floor and hit her head. And so we're trying to avoid that.
Exactly.
And anytime anybody's on blood thinners, they need to call 911 or go to the hospital.
Okay.
Because if you're on a blood thinner and you hit your head, we want you to get a higher medical authority. They need to do tests and everything, and x-rays and CAT scans.
For bleeding in the brain and things like that.
Especially if you hit your head.
Yeah.
Anytime you hit if you're on a blood thinner, please, that would be our greatest advice. Those handrails in bathrooms, in hallways, especially in the bathrooms, and you could have a handy person install those. You could even get one of those plastic chairs to put in there and sit there, and a lot of times they will have, grab bars on them as well.
Right.
But in the shower, that way you could get up, you could sit down, because I just worked just 2 days ago, and late at night, all these calls are coming, and she just had surgery, and she was in the shower and got lightheaded and dizzy, and she called out for a family member, but family member luckily caught her, but it happens, especially after a procedure or some surgery, because you're finally getting in and you feel good. The hot water totally relaxes you. So the grab bars in your home, it just prevents a lot of falls.
Well, there's a lot to be said to do what you're saying, and it's very difficult for us to remind ourselves of all these things, especially when we have parents that might be older and they need that extra help. So thank you so much for all these reminders. We appreciate it, and we hope to see you again.
Yes. Thanks for having us on, Lisa.
You're welcome. If you want more information about anything that we've discussed, of course, you can always go to ocfa.org. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Well, our movie for today is called American Made, and it stars Tom Cruise. And it is about the movie where they are transporting guns and drugs to and from various areas. So you're going to want to check that out today at 2 p.m. with subtitles, 6 p.m. without subtitles. And that is brought to you by Harvard Eye Associates. All right, let's take a look at our weather real quick before we enjoy the rest of our fun Halloween weekend. We've got nice sunny skies, not too hot today. We are looking at about 77, 57 today, 78, 60 tomorrow, and then Halloween 77, 63. And when we come back here on Monday morning, we will tell you about the fun movie that we will have for Monday. Have a great rest of your weekend, and we'll see you again right here at 9 a.m. on Village Television on Monday morning. Bye-bye.
Time to play by your own rules. It's out with the old way of getting older and in with the new age of celebrating your age. At Alignment Health, senior health care is all we do. Our Medicare Advantage plans are leading the charge, so you can be the one in charge.
I love being in charge.
Because life should be a celebration, not a resignation. Welcome to a new era of aging. Alignment Health Plan.